Yeah. Let's see here. No gambling in my chat. Nothing. None of that.
No Streamlabs. Gotcha.
Well, I'm using Streamlabs, but I don't have gambling.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not complex enough. I'm not on Taddy's level, bro.
Gotcha.
I'm noob.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm Nick Gamer noob.
Yeah, Teddy's the pro at that. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, a lot of those Streamlab functions I find irritating. I think it just pulls people away with what's going on in the podcast.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. Looks like we are live. Hello, guys. Welcome. And anybody in here have a good Dick Dawson impression?
Well, hello and welcome
No.
to the Blue Earth Things Saturday Night Live.
It's Sunday night.
It's Sunday.
Yeah, it is
Or whatever the hell it is. I'm retired. Saturday, Sunday, it's all the same shit.
Oh, man. See here. I think everything's working fine. All right. So today we are going to be talking about the insanity that went down in my comment section on my last video. I kind of wanted to talk about and go through some of the comments that were made. I thought they were hilarious. And the behavior from the Loons was just as bad as the behavior of flat earthers, if not worse, which is very disappointing. So, first off, you guys, I know y'all have interactions with flat earthers. What about Loons? What's your opinions?
You know what? Every time you say Loons, I keep thinking, he's really got to go get himself checked out at a doctor and get some penicillin.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, one of the guys I covered is an actual Looney Tune, so I think it fits.
Yeah. But yeah, they're just as bad as the flat earthers because they're just as much in vehement denial. But the sad part is that they accept some science, where a flat Earth basically just rejects any and all science. So if you're 3/4 of the way there to accepting science, then what the hell is your problem? I find that actually worse in some ways.
But it's funny how they deny science, but everything they're using in life was created pretty much by science.
Yeah, a large portion of it by
large
the
portion of it
program.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I find a lot of these guys too kind of interesting in the fact that they even state in your comment section about being, they believe in space and rockets, everything but Apollo. Did I just go dark or something?
No,
we still got you.
Oh,
we still got you. Yeah, we got you.
On my end, my sound just went really, really low. And that really doesn't make much sense to me, because if you believe in the engineering to get you into orbit, then what is it that stops you directly? And I saw a whole lot of hand waving, but no specific, hey, this is why you can't do this, because these engines don't work, or the Van Allen belt doesn't work. It seems to be a combination of a lot of little things, but nothing. I don't see an actual technical rationale in anything that they posted.
Yeah, it's just
what
there's a. It's like they deny one specific thing, and they end up denying it purely because they identify as a moon hoaxer. That's the feeling that I get out of it.
Then there's this one that's called the Apollo Detectives.
Yeah, and then we use the standard.
Oh,
look, the ships go up and they go parallel to the Earth, level to the Earth, and they go in the ocean when you can't see them.
Did you see the first video? Did
Morning, everybody.
Oh, hey, steaming cup of reason. Hey, we got a little bit of an echo.
Yeah, I'm still waking up here, guys.
Okay.
All right, let me turn you down. There we go. Let's see, I think I've got an echo from somebody, from you, Steaming Cup. You got an echo.
From Steaming.
Yeah, I'm not on headphones right now. Hang on.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
until.
one
All right, you go.
yeah, one thing I noticed last time I was talking to a loon that I found was comical is that when we got into the engineering aspect of, if you can make it to Leo, then you can make it to, translunar injection and lunar orbit. And he wasn't buying it because the spacecraft didn't have enough fuel on board to make it from the Earth to the moon.
I just
So the only thing I can think of is that he thinks that they were on a full burn the entire time to get
What-
there.
uh,
That
uh,
doesn't seem to understand that, you when you want you to get your TLI done, you shut the engines off and you coast, and Newton takes over.
That's
You
right.
know,
that's
Use the gravity of one body to push you towards the next body, and then that gravity pulls you in. There's not there isn't a whole lot of magic going on here. It's actually that simple.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
this isn't
insane.
Star Trek and Star Wars where you have to have
Uh,
your engines going the whole time to do these, drastic maneuvers.
mm,
Yeah, that's uh, the idea that you've got to be on full blast the entire time is that seems insane to me. Like, why would you even try to fake
Well,
that? Like,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Plus, you'd be if constantly accelerating because there's really nothing else around you resisting your flight. So if you're just going to keep your engines on, you're just going to keep on accelerating, but it doesn't really even make any sense. The whole argument ignores conservation of momentum, conservation of energy, and shows a complete lack of understanding of the orbital mechanics that get you there. And not that orbital mechanics is something easy to understand. Heck, I'm an engineer and I struggle with making it work a lot of times, and I have to look at it over and over again if I try to calculate something because it doesn't seem to always work out for me the first time.
yeah. Well,
yeah, I was just gonna
I
say
must have missed a
that it
lot
sounds
here.
crazy to you, Blue, because you understand the basic laws of motion. And most
Mm.
kids by the time they hit the ninth grade, at least in North America, they understand those things. So
Yeah,
somewhere along the line, some of these moonloons just turned off their ears and said, "Nope, too
Yeah,
hard for me.
yeah,
Not gonna learn it."
yeah, and those basic laws are all you need to know how it gets from point A to point B. And if you want to delve into it deeper, you can actually calculate it if you wanted to. But it is really that simple going from point A to point B. There's
yeah,
just
uh,
Yeah, the laws of motion to get us from the Earth to the moon and back.
yeah.
Really, you can watch every Saturday and Sunday in the United States in the summertime at a baseball field, because the same mechanics that are happening from the pitcher's mound to the batter's bat, hitting it out to the outfield, is pretty much the same thing.
Mm.
basically,
And I've noticed some patterns in the guys that are posting on that video too. I think one said 7 times or 6 times that he's a genius.
yes, that was
I'm
expat
a genius.
Tatty. Yeah, I'm about to show those in a second.
Yeah,
But yeah, expat Tatty is just in. That dude's just straight up insane. There's really not much you can get around it.
yeah. He went out of his way to prove to, hey, I'm a genius.
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Yeah. As soon as he
yeah,
said
yeah.
that, I
I did
just got
watch
this
the video.
cartoon in my head of Wile E. Coyote handing his
That's right.
card to Bugs Bunny. Wile E. Coyote, super genius.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
As he's screwing the tops on the nitroglycerin carrots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
From the Acme Company.
that's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And there seems to be a pattern from the guys that are. I can't really tell if they're associated with the Shill Stoppers or not. Like this one guy, the Apollo detectives.
They
It
are.
just
That's the same person.
it is the same person then.
Yes.
All right, because he's just full of I don't know everything in here. It has some vague, Apollo space comment, and then followed by something else like you're just too stupid to understand, or our channel is like heroin to you guys, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, so here we go. Now I've got the comments up on screen. If you want, you can you can check them out if you view the live stream with me. I don't really have a way of sharing them with you right now, but like over Discord. But so my favorite comment the entire time was expat Taffy 1. It's like, ha, so you admit it is your job, and who is paying you, dude? Obviously another NASA shill. This brought up 54 replies, a ton of replies. But this guy, Taffy, was the most fascinating person in this because this guy is obviously delusional. Is he not?
Oh yeah, and in the first few, like, he's talking to you like you'll respond to him. He's like 5 or 6 comments right in a row, like, and then
Yeah.
he says, "Why are you avoiding me?" Well, or avoiding the question. It's like, well, he hasn't even responded to you yet. What are you talking about?
Yeah, at one point he was like, "Why haven't you accepted my challenge?" And it's like, dude, you've sent me 15 things. I don't even know what challenge you have sent me.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
the other
he's
thing
like an
too. It
overly
doesn't.
possessive girl. I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Is the other thing is he doesn't seem to actually have a specific question. He just says some random stuff, like, brightly lit bubble wrap. There you go. Refute this. And it really, he isn't. He doesn't. He's like, he talks that one about jumping. Was it 5 or 6 feet off the ground? Stupid.
Yes. Oh my god,
Yes.
that was
Okay.
that was
So
insane.
it's like,
Yeah,
okay, so
his
you're saying that should
conversation.
be that, but what's the technical rationale you have for that? And what are you saying you can or can't do?
He kept going off like, if I want to see if I can find the comment on here, but it's like, if the moon was 1/6 the gravity, you should be able to jump up like 20 meters up into the air and stuff like that. And it's like, why can he only jump like 3 feet or like 8 inches or something?
Yeah.
Hey, Blue.
Yes.
Guy's Fuse asking to see if he can get a wrench. I guess he wants to share something and he can't do it. He's not a mod.
Who is it?
Geist View.
Geist View. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't mod him. I know you can though.
There you go, Geist View. You're fine.
Thank you.
Yep. But yeah, Geist View is a mod now. What has he got?
Yeah, that comment where that guy was talking about why can't you jump 20 meters in the air because of 1/6 gravity is. Do you not realize they're carrying 200 pounds or so of extra mass on them? And do you realize that they only bent their knee about 3 or 4 degrees to get the lift that they actually got?
Yeah,
Really try that on the earth.
most of that forward motion they have, an up and down motion, was actually from their feet. The joints had such restricted motion in those old suits, and yeah, I think the whole suit on Earth is about 180 pounds all by itself. And then you got a 200-pound guy in it.
And then you got, and that's just
Or
the suit. You also have the life support system, which also weighs a
right.
lot.
Yep.
So you're probably talking somewhere along the lines. Of course, we're on the moon now, so you're probably talking maybe 70 or 80 pounds of total weight, but in a restricted motion, restricted movement environment. It's not like you walking around your living room. You wrap your legs in some sonotubes with some, you know rubber sheets in between your knees and elbows, and that's pretty much how you're going to try to move around on the moon.
Yeah, it's I think I looked it up for talking about all this stuff, and combined total, it'll end up you would totally weigh somewhere around like 380 pounds with the man
Yeah,
inside.
I'm seeing one that says 485. Between your
485.
weight and the suit's weight. With the astronaut's weight as well.
Yeah.
That's
310
insane.
for the suit, I think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
insane.
that's Earth weight, though, right?
Okay, yeah, it's Earth's weight. I
Yeah.
put on the moon, and it's not giving me that.
Well, there'd be 1/6 of that. All you got to do is just do 1/6.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just, 16% of that. Yeah.
Astro Geus, I modded you for you to shill your own Twitter account, Geus Astro. Come on, man. Even though it's a fantastic picture and it's a great Twitter account, you can't just shill @Geus Astro. Go follow him on my live chat, bro. Come on. @Geus Astro. Go follow. All right. No, that's a great pick, by the way. Here, I'll put it. I'll pull it up and put it in our thing.
It's actually kind of amazing.
Yeah, Casey's got some really cool stuff on his Twitter feed.
Yeah, he does.
I follow him just for the great photography. Well, that and he's really.
Yeah, here we go. That's
cool
the picture. That's a really good pick. I'm gonna leave that on the screen for a little bit. But yeah.
Yeah, the personal incredulity aside, I see very little in these comments though that are an actual technical based argument, an engineering based argument for not getting from point A to point B. It specifically goes so far as to say, yes, we can travel in space. There are satellites, there are rockets. The one and only thing we don't agree with is Apollo, and that seems to be a rather. It almost seems a little disingenuous. Like, hey, let's go ahead and do this and see if we can't drum up some views and make some money, because they say all space missions are viable except Apollo. Okay, what's different about Apollo?
Yeah, that's always been my thought process. Like, all right, so you buy the Mercury program. We got a man up into space. He got in the low Earth orbit and all that stuff. All right, cool. You buy the Gemini program. We got 2 men up in space. They were there for 14 days or whatnot. That's cool and all, and you accept all the advancements that we made in rocket technology to get to there. And then you accept the Saturn 1B and the low Earth orbit Apollo missions and stuff like that. And so you accept all of that stuff, and then what is it? Is it just the Van Allen belts? Is that your only problem to the situation?
Well, he also says all space missions. Well, that also includes, the Mars rover missions, the Comet Impactor missions, the Solar Observatory that's out at Lagrange Point 1, Voyager, which exited the goddamn solar system. I guess they're saying all of that is good and Apollo is bad.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird way to put things.
Real quick, @Giants View,
it almost sounds like a.
Hold on, real quick. @Giants View, you didn't do anything wrong. I was just messing with you, man. Post links to your photos all you want, man. They're great photos. I was just trying to play a little bit of irony there, but it's okay.
I guess he missed the sarcasm.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't. No. Sorry, I'm really bad at sarcasm. My sarcasm comes all straight. It's very dry.
Yeah, so I guess he thinks that they think it's okay that we can send a comet impactor on a 17 billion mile trip to impact a comet in its orbit through our solar system. It's like trying to shoot a 16-inch round out of an Io-class battleship with a 45 caliber round from a gun, and yet we did that, and they accept that, but not Apollo.
Basically, that's the crazy bit.
Yeah.
That's pretty much exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, it almost seems as if it's tailor-made to get as many of the moon hoaxers as they can to come to their channel, and I don't know if they're monetized, if they're got Teespring or something along those lines. I don't even know, actually.
One of the biggest problems with the moon landing deniers is that every one of their arguments is at least 25 years old.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a new argument from them since the late 90s when they made all those documentaries all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Uh,
And all of those have been thoroughly beat to death too. They've all been debunked over and over and over again.
yeah, Steamy Cup, you got
Yeah.
any input on this?
Whoa. Sorry, man. My system's going crazy here. No, not really. I mean, all of this it's. I don't get these deniers. I mean, how can they accept all of that stuff and not accept Apollo?
Yeah, it's
It makes no sense. It just makes
ridiculous.
no sense at all.
All right, real
It's
quick.
like selective ignorance.
No, it is.
And
It's
I'm also,
totally.
yeah, I'm looking for a specific claim too, and they do a lot of telling you what you're not doing,
Yeah.
but not why what they claim doesn't work.
Oh, one of the biggest
It's kind of hard to find
complaints.
a specific claim in any of these comments.
One of the biggest things that both the uh the Apollo detectives and actually what's his name who popped in a little bit, Randy Walsh. Yeah, he's supposed to be one of the hard hitters. One of the things that they kept telling me that I did wrong is like I didn't show any PDFs and I didn't show any sources and
Well,
I didn't show any graphs and stuff like that. It's like, well, I didn't need to. Nothing that I said in my video required a PDF or a graph.
not to mention that
Yeah,
they
your
didn't
particular.
provide the right stuff either.
Yeah.
They had PDFs, ooh, good, but it was not representative of what you said it was. So,
And so
you
often
know,
they link me all these PDFs, and I got a particular email that was a link to a bunch of PDFs. It's like over 1,000 PDFs and stuff like that. And I'm looking at them, I was like, dude, you just linked me to the NASA website. This is not telling me that
yeah,
you did any research. This is just telling me that you saw all these PDFs and then you decided that, oh, cool, I've researched all of them now. Now that I looked at them, it doesn't tell me that you understood them. It doesn't tell me that you have any idea what it's talking about, or that you can even tell me what they are. It just tells me that you linked me PDFs from NASA's website.
no, and based on the review you did, they don't understand what they are because they're using, they use the incorrect um, uh, LEM documentation. The manuals they were using were for the second group, the second generation.
Yeah. And
By the way, just let you know, my aunt used to work for a company called Valcor Corporation in New Jersey, and actually did welding on some of the valves in the lunar rovers. The one of the ones that she worked on never actually made it into the program though, but it was kind of cool.
that's I had a see, I've got my it's like a great uncle. It's kind of far away from, like, it's not close relative, but it's great uncle. I know who the guy is and everything like that. He worked on one of the lunar rovers a good bit, and I've been
Mhm.
wanting to get in touch with him again to talk to him about it. But the guy's
Yeah.
like 80 something years old, so it's like really hard to. But
Yeah, my aunt she's been passed away for quite a few years now, but she actually acid etched her name into one of the valves before she welded it up,
really,
so that if it had gone to the moon, her name would have been there.
that's actually really cool. Um, I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
they seem to
through.
have the mistaken impression there, Blue, that your video was designed to prove that the moon landings happened.
Yeah, no,
No, from what I got from your video, it was taking a look at their, hey, look at this argument because this don't seem right.
yeah, exactly. Oh my God, that's such a big point to do. Is I'm not
Yeah,
here to prove that we landed on the moon. That's not my point of my video. My point of my video is to tell you that your arguments are wrong. Me saying that there there that there is no there's nothing wrong with the video where it shows that there's two doors when they launch and then one door when they land. That doesn't prove that we landed on the moon. That just proves that there's no contradiction there. You cannot use that as an argument as to say that we did not.
and that door thing is very telling too, of the
Oh,
level of research that these people do.
I know. When I started that whole email chain, that was mainly the reason why I wanted to find out who did this. And when I talked to the guy who put these videos out, the Shill Stompers guy, aka Apollo, the Apollo detective. That's what I wanted to get home in. Is like, this is why I lost respect for you, man. This is why I don't recognize you as an expert or recognize you as knowing what you're talking about. Is because you approved, you quality controlled, put your logo on, and approved a video where they're complaining about the doors. Something that's basic, simple. And the video that I'm gonna play for you guys is even worse. This is most recent one. But before we do that, can I read a couple of these comments that I found kind of funny? Let's see here.
Well, that's between you and your optometrist. I try not to get involved.
No, like X-Pac Taffy is like, Blue Earth Thing, a challenge to sort out the men from the boys, or put it another way, sort out the geniuses from the idiots. We discuss the photos one by one, me using my face, my voice, and my real ID, William Smithen, or Swithin, some Welsh name. And you doing the same, your true ID, i.e. your name, you show who you are. This is all one sentence. Let's see your face and let's hear your real voice. Finally, a period. I show you one photo and state what I see in that photo. Then it is your turn. You make a video showing the same photo and explaining what you see in it, and also stating if you think it is genuine and taken on the moon. Ha 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 ha. That's your arse kicked, idiot. I'm willing, but you are not. You are mentally insane, arsehole. Ha ha, boom boom. Yeah, buddy, you're mentally not there. Like, that is bad. This is the mentality that these people have.
Yeah, I love how he claims to be a genius, but you can't use punctuation.
He uses punctuation, but too much, actually.
See, that whole comment is nothing but one big straw man argument too, because we're going to talk about Apollo, we're going to talk about the pictures, but now you got to show your face, you got to use your name, and it's like, okay, what does any of that have to do with the actual discussion at hand?
And it's not, I have no problem using my name and face. Like, that's not something I have a problem with. It's just can we just get on a live stream? Why do you have to make a video and then I make a video? These people never want to interact with you one to one. They always want to have something in between that they don't actually have to face you. That's Randy Walsh had that problem.
It's just like a lot of flat earthers. They go out of their way to avoid making a specific claim that they then have to turn around and support. So, if they don't come at you face to face, they can't get backed into a corner.
Yeah, and I've got a couple. They always think that they have like aces up their sleeves and stuff, like what is it? I'm trying to think, the flamingo. And like, one thing that Taffy kept pointing out was the flamingo and the one-legged astronaut, and the flap that when they jump on Apollo 16. And it's just, when you look at it, it's very basic on how that's not what you think it is. You said something, Glober Mom?
Oh, sorry, I was just saying yeah.
Oh. You were quiet in there.
I've been kind of coughing, so I've been muting a lot.
Okay. But they always want something in between. They never want to actually interact with you. That's the biggest problem with these guys.
Well, because they know they don't have an argument. If they got into a live discussion with you, they'd have to end up defending a claim. And of course, we can't have that. Why let a fact get in the way of a perfectly good conspiracy theory?
And if you do approach them one-on-one, they change the subject when you bring up the evidence against it.
Yeah.
So it's never, you can never peg them down on anything.
No, they always move. They move goalposts, they move something, they do something. It's just, it's incredible. It's like, oh, I've shown you all this information. I gave you all this information on how your thing is wrong. Okay, where's your PDFs and your sources, and where's your graphs? Like, all right,
well, first, if you had actually made some specific claims, that would be a good thing to need. But all you
not
did
just
was
specific
talk about
claims,
theirs.
but positive claims, not just I think this X, Y, and Z.
Right.
with nothing to back it up.
You guys, y'all seen y'all saw the video. Is there anywhere, like, your honest opinion, is there anywhere in there that that would have benefited if I would have shown more information on screen?
Absolutely not. You were not
Not to
making a
them,
video
no.
talking about the telemetry of the Apollo spacecraft. You didn't need the graphs and all that.
Right.
The only bit that
And
I
that
could
wasn't
have
what the video was about.
No, there's only one bit in the entire video where I can conceive of doing a little better in, and that would have been like maybe showing the definition of depressurization or something like that. Like because in the end I talk about depressurization, and I guess I hand waved it off as a definition that more people would know. Obviously, these guys don't. Maybe putting a definition on that, and that's the only thing I can think of as it's more sources, you know? Everything else I said was pretty easy.
That too. They were complaining about opening that door.
Oh, that was bad.
But it looks like they opened the door between the LEM and the command module.
Yeah, so that's what he was saying.
It was already equalized.
Isn't there like an airlock between the two?
So it took me a while watching the video to figure out what their argument was. But his argument was the LM must be depressurized for the door to open into the LM, or no, for the door to open into the CM, because the CM's air pressure difference would be pushing the door against, that way creating a better seal. And he mistaked that as there should be no pressure, as in no air at all within the LM.
Yeah, that's what I got, yeah.
Yeah, that's what he thought it meant. But that's not what it meant.
Yeah.
And I thought I did a well enough job explaining that.
Yeah, what they're talking about is if they opened the door on the moon, they'd never get it open if they didn't depressurize the element itself. But when it's with the command module, it's just a door like any other door. You know, just open and close it.
Yeah. And that's because he's running on a he's running on a very surface level definition of depressurized.
Well, it's almost as if he just cherry picked a couple of things he thought he could talk about, and then throw them into a video.
Oh, he totally did.
Yeah, let's just make some stuff up.
I mean, my roommate and I literally just sat there for about 2.5 hours reading that manual that he sent us and going through other manuals. By the way, he had the wrong manual for the capsule. The capsule was LM5. So, and that manual is almost impossible to find. You have to buy it online. Luckily, my university has it in their library, so we were able to get it there. But
nice.
And that manual says nothing when it came to the tracking lights and the docking lights. It literally has a sentence on the entire thing. It doesn't mention anything about the times and everything like that. The only thing that we can figure out is something that he showed in his video, which was the three-way switch. And that three-way switch it can be on either tracking or docking or off. And
yeah, I saw that.
It blew me
away. You explained it fine.
It blew me away that this man literally said, it's almost as if someone's toggling it off. And it didn't click in his head.
Yeah.
Like, are you serious?
Yeah.
And I even went back to their source videos, and I really don't understand the point of that. So what? It's got lights.
Yeah, why would you, if it's
was
a
there something
light,
sinister about those lights that shouldn't work in space? Or
he's saying that
they're probably blinking in code for Illuminati or something. I don't know.
Well, he's saying that they're not blinking once every second, because it's supposed to have a blink rate of 60 blinks per second. And he's going, well, it's not blinking once every second, so therefore
I think it was 60
it's
per minute, wasn't it?
Yeah, 60 per minute. Sorry. Yeah. Thanks for that catch. But yeah, it's not blinking 60 per minute, so it's so there's obviously a problem with it. Well,
did it say in the manual when it was supposed to be in that mode?
It never did. And if you are talking about tracking lights, you wouldn't have tracking lights once you're tracked. That's when docking lights turn on. The tracking lights are for being found.
Right. So that they can see each other as they approach.
Yeah. And so it's obvious. It's obvious if you watch the video that he has the docking lights on. He even states within the video, it's like, all right, you see the docking lights here, they're on, and it's just obvious that you would turn on the docking lights, and every now and then he would just tap the tracking light on real quick, just to make sure. and everything like that. It's like kind of like flashing your lights. It's pretty obvious. So real quick, everybody in the watch together room. Let's see. I don't have Glober Mom, Steaming Cup, and
Yeah.
Mike. Can you guys hop into the watch together room?
What's
Hang on.
what
So
room is that?
there's a link that I shared at about 8:35. If you scroll up in the general chat, just click that link and it'll pop you in this room. You can pause and play the video anytime you want. So
Okay, there we go.
it's very beneficial. It's very easy.
I think we met. All right.
I don't think I got the link.
It's in the general chat. I'll repaste. I'll repost it if you want me to.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, 'cause
about
I'm not seeing it.
9:30 Eastern time.
The
So
last thing I have is mine. Let me.
There we go. How about
Click
that?
off,
I
get that.
reposted it.
Am I not? Come on.
Yeah, Thomas Matta in the live chat says, I wish one of the people in the comments section of that video were in this live stream. I'm assuming he's talking about some of the idiots who were making stupid comments in that section. And
Oh,
yeah,
here it is.
Thomas,
Okay.
we
It was
kind of really
6:35
wish they
my
were
time. I'm
too.
sorry.
Yeah.
It was 6:35 my time. That's why I'm getting screwed up.
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. There we go.
okay, so
Okay.
I
Joining now.
think we went to the moon.
Yep. This is the newest video from the Shield Center. Hold on. Yep. Pause it. Let me. All right.
Like they're opening.
Is everybody paused? All right. All right. Cool. I'll play it. Anybody can. They will not be able to hear us once we go live with the video. So I am going to play it real quick. All right. Y'all can pause anytime you want. Are you not getting any
I hear it.
sound?
I was hearing it.
Yeah, I was hearing it.
And I'm watching it through the watch together, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, watch it through the watch together. This is a pet peeve of mine. I always have with these guys. Real quick.
Oh, that's why I'm not getting it.
Yeah. Everybody paused?
Yep.
All right. Here's a pet peeve that I have always had with these guys in their videos and how they make them. Oh, just get to the point. Why do we have to have a minute and a half of random stuff like this? Get to the point. So many content creators cannot do that. It's just annoying. Sorry, that's just
15 seconds.
So who paused that?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was playing me. I'm not hearing you guys for some reason. I have to have my headphones. I can't watch this with the sound on.
Oh, okay. Well, it's all text. Don't worry. It's all text. He's not saying
Okay,
anything.
I'll do it with the sound on.
He's making some interesting, very extraordinary claims. I
Yes.
really hope that somewhere along the line, he shows me a bit of evidence for any one of them.
I
Yeah.
watched this, and don't get your hopes up.
Yeah, this is a
Yeah,
bad
he's only
video.
got like a little over a minute left in the video, so I don't see this. He can support any of those claims
No,
in a
he
minute.
doesn't. It's just pure personal incredulity on his part.
Yeah, it gets bad in just a sec.
It gets worse.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
Oh, it does. Mm-hmm.
Hit that play button.
No, no, it
No,
didn't.
I know.
That was the
Nope.
goddamn rollover program where they were starting to arc so that they can follow the
Yep.
damn curve of the Earth as they got into orbit. Are you serious? And all you're looking at is the rear end of the
And where,
spacecraft
You're looking at the
where
yeah,
the
you're looking at the
flames are coming
exhaust.
out.
Yep, the
where
flames.
is
Exactly.
a single thing that to support any of those claims?
Oh, I know,
There's no,
right?
Yeah.
it's
None.
just, hey, look at this, prove me wrong.
They always go the whole PDF. Where's your PDF? Where's your graphs and all that stuff to me? Well, it's like, dude, where's anything for you if you're gonna back that? Are you gonna back this up at all? You don't even make a statement to back it up. And first off, again, you have the information completely wrong. It's not even the right launch.
That wasn't the
Oh,
Apollo 11 launch.
Apparently not. Harry Warp just said that's Apollo 6, not 11. I don't know. Is
Oh,
Harry Warp
okay.
are you a reliable source? I didn't catch that the first time. If it wasn't the actual Apollo 11 launch, it looked like it to me, but according to trusted source Harry Warp.
Yeah, well, I would trust Harry.
Here he is, yeah.
If he says something specific like that,
Yeah,
I would think that
because
I would trust what he
the
says.
SM was painted silver, wasn't it, on the Apollo 11 launch? I believe so. Yeah, the service module was painted silver on the Apollo 11 launch. That's why you can tell it's always Apollo 11 when you see a silver service module.
Yeah.
And
I found Harry to be very intelligent and trustworthy. He doesn't say a whole hell of a lot, but when he does, it carries a big stick, you know. So I'm not entirely sure what his expertise is, but I found him to know what the hell he's talking about.
yeah, he's backing it up in the comments. See, guys, this is
Yep.
how you back up your claims
Yep.
right here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, sorry, sorry I paused it so soon before. I mean, we ain't got a few seconds left, but I just couldn't contain myself anymore. It's like, oh my
That's
god.
okay.
Yeah, I just looked at the pictures. Harry's right. Apollo 6 was all white, and Apollo 11, the command module, was silver. Was stainless steel.
yeah.
So
Oh,
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible that they
Amazes.
can't even get that right. They have to lie about what's on the screen in order to get
Yep.
it, or you're so incompetent that you just accept that you think every Saturn V launch is like one of the launches that went to the moon.
so anyway, did you want to watch the last few seconds?
Sure,
of this
go
video?
ahead. Go ahead. Turn it on. So nothing. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah,
Nope.
this guy is using a flat earther's argument. And I went and I think I looked this guy up, the guy who posted the video, and he is a flat earther.
That's no surprise.
No, it's not.
Is the patent he's showing at the end?
Yeah, it's I guess. But yeah, this is a flat Earth argument that's been long debunked. The whole rockets never go into space; they just go sideways thing. You don't know, do you not know anything about orbital mechanics at all? Do you not realize that you don't just shoot a rocket straight up and then turn it 90 degrees and then shoot it again?
So this guy is a sprockets don't work in a vacuum guy.
I bet.
Uh,
Probably.
which, by the way, is a self-debunking claim because if the exhaust gases can't impart a force onto the rocket
Mm-hmm.
in a vacuum, well, it can't import that. It can't impart that same force in the atmosphere either. It either works or it doesn't. Yeah. So,
Yeah, these goofy people that try to say that rockets can't work in a vacuum because it needs the atmosphere to push off of. It's like, did you not realize that when that exhaust is coming out of the bell end, that it's actually pushing the atmosphere out of
I
its
didn't see
way?
that.
It's not
Right,
pushing
and then it
against it;
gets.
it's pushing it out of the friggin' way.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Also, how does the atmosphere provide a reaction force of 10.5 million pounds force of thrust without moving out of the way?
Yeah, it's like you said in your
Yeah,
recent
we just
video. It's like a Newtonian fluid.
Yeah.
because that makes sense. I really don't. I don't get the argument.
Yeah, so this was 2 minutes and 43 seconds of no.
Okay, Frankie UK is who that video came from.
I
He said
believe
that
so.
18 years ago. I'm sorry. Huh?
I said I believe so.
18 years ago, he believed the Earth was a spinning globe and that gravity existed, and he believed in space travel, moon landings, until 9/11 happened.
And
All right.
And
what
then
does one have to do with the
he
other?
totally flipped
Yeah.
because
Where's
he
the
bought into
correlation?
that. How can aluminum planes build buildings down, that kind of thing. And from there, just I'm
Oh,
sure it
God.
snowballed to everything else.
In other words,
Does
Yeah,
that
he's
not
an
surprise you?
incredibly gullible fool.
Exactly.
Hold on. Pause.
Exactly.
There we go. All right.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
see.
that's a red herring too. So
Mm-hmm.
Lined up a new video for you guys. It's called
Okay.
Moon Hoax Engine Trouble. LT, you mind hitting that play button?
Way, certainly.
Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about the Saturn V rocket and the lack of testing that was done. Today I'm going to be talking specifically about Apollos 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now Apollo 4 was the first test of an all-up Saturn.
All right. So I guess I'll give a little context here. This is Randy Walsh, if you don't know. I don't really expect you to know, but yeah, that's Randy Walsh there in this video. And he's talking, I guess, about the moon stuff. I haven't seen this video, by the way. I've got no idea what we're in for.
Oh boy.
What's y'all's knowledge on the engines, by the way?
Not a lot.
very very basic. Just what I've read
Yeah.
over the years. I mean, they're not really. The Saturn V isn't really a bunch of magic. It's just a lot of engine
It's a big, dumb
and a lot
rocket.
of. Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah. That's my favorite quote to describe the Saturn V, and that's why I love it so much. It's just a big, dumb rocket. It's just 5 massively huge engines strapped onto to a rocket with a bunch of other engines on it. That's all it is. But I guess this guy's going to try to show the F1 engine is not all it is. So,
With that.
yeah, let's see what he's got.
5. So that's an all-up test. That included all the parts that had never been tested together before was done with Apollo 4. Now this was an all-man launch. This mission apparently went perfectly according to NASA. The second all-manned test of the Saturn V was with Apollo 6. This mission was plagued with problems that NASA does admit to. Now NASA says the problem with Apollo 6 was pogo oscillations. And because of the pogo oscillations, the engines in the second stage, the J2 engines, were disrupted. So they had multiple failures. I believe they had 2 failures. Actually, 1 failure, and then the computer for some reason shut down the second engine. And NASA said this was caused by disruption in the fuel lines brought on by pogo oscillations. Now, what pogo oscillations is instability along the longitudinal axis of the Saturn V.
That dude just straight read that out of a report.
Yeah, and
absolutely.
Yeah, I like how he said NASA doesn't talk about any of these failures on Apollo 6 or in any of these unmanned test flights, but yet he's reading it from a report talking about
how would he know?
failures within the unmanned test flights.
Yeah, basically. I know what it sounds like when you read straight from a report or from a Wikipedia page or something like that, and that's exactly what that sounds like. Like you've done nothing to convince me that you know what you're talking about. You just convinced me that you know the words, for the most part.
Yeah, and I know what he's talking about with the pogo oscillations, and I'm pretty sure Mike, for being an engineer, does as well. Basically, what they got it's a fluid dynamic. You know, it's kind of like if you have your sink drain over full and it tries to drain, sometimes it doesn't drain smoothly, because the water's kind of oscillating within the pipe as it goes down and is trying to gulp air at the same time. That's one of the reasons why the Russian engine was a bunch of little bitty engines, all put together, because the 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 really big engines had a really bad habit of oscillating within within the fluid.
Yeah.
Which would cause this pogo effect,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what it does, it's self exciting too. Once you reach that resonant frequency, it just amplifies. If you've ever seen the video of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, when it's vibrating and oscillating to the point where it actually just comes apart, that's the type of oscillation you're talking about. It's self exciting. So the wind blowing over the deck of the bridge created a natural frequency that matched the bridge itself. So it just kept vibrating itself, and they were they talk about interference patterns in light. You can see these interference patterns. Well, when they're over each other, it's called constructive interference, and the peaks get really big, and that's what caused the bridge to come down. Yeah, so the combustion and fluid flow through the combustion chamber caused the same thing, a vibration in the structure that matched the natural frequency of the structure, and then it just basically shakes itself to death.
Yeah, that's been my understanding of it.
And the Tacoma Narrows Bridge is just a good visualization of what's going on. So I like to use that when we're talking about this kind of thing. But there's I don't know how many videos on YouTube about that bridge.
If you haven't seen it, watch it. It gets really violent, violently shaken.
And the scary part is before it got so bad that it came down, people would kids would try to run across it while it's shaking and stuff. Because look, let's go play on the bridge.
To be fair, I totally would. Like,
I don't know, man. It's either they're incredibly strange people that would do that, or they got bigger balls than me. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems also the only damage that came to the rocket from these vibrations and stuff, it was it would have been catastrophic if this was the actual mission, but it was structural problems, from what I'm understanding. I can just sit here and read the exact thing off the Wikipedia page, but yeah, it just seemed like it was just structural problems a couple minutes into the mission, so it.
Yeah, and this is something one of the commenters. I'm sorry, Mike. I talked over.
Go ahead. That's all right.
Yeah, this is something one of your commenters mentioned, that all of a sudden they put a man on the moon in the very first shot without, it's like, well,
Thank you.
There was a lot of things in test flights and redesigns and more test flights and redesigns and more testing that contributed to an initial success. It wasn't we built a rocket and sent a man to the moon. It was a decade-long process.
Thank you. That is such a true thing. Like, it always bugs me when people say stuff like that. But Yeah, Apollo 6. If they didn't have the if why would NASA make up the engine troubles and stuff like that?
Right.
Yeah.
And the fixes for the oscillation problems, the natural frequency problems, really weren't that insurmountable. It's actually kind of basic. You just redesign the structure so that it dampens some of those vibrations, and now you're no longer within its natural frequency. So it really isn't as if it was an insurmountable problem that he's making it out to be.
This guy, I think the end result or the end fix for the whole problem was just to put in a kind of like a baffle, almost like a honeycomb, between the combustion chamber and the nozzle to
Yeah,
stabilize the flow.
right.
All right, y'all want to
Yeah,
continue
and
on
this
with the
is
video?
also yeah, one last thing.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
one of the things that the conspiracy theorists like to make fun of Red's rhetoric about, being a plumber studying rocket science. Well, this is one of the things where being a plumber can actually help in rocket science.
Exactly.
Yep.
Absolutely. It's like the
Exactly.
biggest plumbing project ever.
Yeah.
No, yeah, fully agree. All right, y'all ready for the next bit? Let's see what we
Ready.
got.
Yeah,
This
go for
NASA
it.
says caused the problems. But when you look at this a little further, you notice that NASA never says anything about the F1
You're getting
engines.
a hell of
Never
an
says
echo.
that they were you find out that actually it most likely was the F1 engines, and in fact it was the F1.
Yeah, that echo is me. I'm gonna go back. Trying to figure out. It was working earlier just fine. I don't know why it started echoing on you guys. See, check, check. Did I lose you guys? Yeah, I can't hear you. All right, there we go. Now I'm hearing you. All right, I'm hearing you, but the chat isn't. Why is the chat not hearing? Can I get a check one too?
Check, check,
Yep,
check.
chat's
Check, check.
now
Check
now
one,
the
two.
now the chat hears you.
Civilians.
All right,
Okay.
cool. Let's see. Let's see if this works now.
But when you look at this a little further, you notice that NASA never says anything about the F1 engines. Never
Echoes
says
worse.
that they were disrupted
Yep,
by
it
any
is,
fuel
isn't it?
lines breaking.
All right, let me pause. Y'all are getting the echo, but the chat isn't, so that's good. Let me do something. Let me just do something real quick. I'm just gonna
I
change.
don't know about you guys, but the echo isn't such a huge problem for me. But then I did couples counseling back in the day, so I kind of got used to tuning one out, and listening to the other.
There we go. I just turned it to push to talk. That should eliminate the echo. All right.
So he's going on to say that the F1 engine had the same oscillation problems.
Yeah, that's what he's saying here. And yeah, there was many tests in which the F1 engines had a lot of problems in.
Oh, somebody just this. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yep,
can hear
I
you.
got you, Mike.
There's a Blue Earth seemed to just cut off there.
Oh yeah, because I'm using push to talk. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there was a lot of problems with the engines, like with the F1 engines, and that's why it took so many engineers to figure out how to get them to work. And then when they were finally tested, it was
Yeah,
such a
and
big
then
deal.
Yeah, they finally put in those baffles, and there was no problem since.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like I said, this is a basic mechanical problem. I mean, it's on a huge scale. Don't get me wrong, but from an engineering standpoint, this is not really that big a deal to solve. So I don't understand where he's going with this.
Well, let's see, and we'll see. We can third time's the charm. We'll see.
Of the Saturn V. This NASA says caused the problems. But when you look at this a little further, you notice that NASA never says anything about the F1 engines. Never says that they were disrupted by any fuel lines breaking, but interesting enough, it did affect the second stage engines and the third stage engine. So when you look further at this, you find out that actually it most likely was the F1 engines, and in fact it was the F1 engines. it's not most likely, it's actually was a problem with the F1 engines. Now, to explain, the F1 engines are needed for an Apollo moon landing. And the reason being is the F1 engines were supposed to be the most powerful engine, rocket engine, ever produced.
Is
Did he just claim that the problem with Apollo 6 was the F1 engines and not the J2?
yes. In fact, it was the F1 engines.
Was it in Apollo 6?
Oh, Apollo 6 was the J2 engines were having a problem, and it actually damaged some of them. I think the either support structure or fuel lines or something came apart.
Yeah,
I can't remember which.
that's what I thought, but so why did he start talking about the F1 engines? Did I miss something?
Well, typical conspiracy theorist, he's going to conflate one thing for another so that anybody that doesn't know any better can say, oh, that sounds right. Maybe we didn't go to the moon.
Well,
You know, which is what conspiracy theorists do.
the F1 engines were the initial launch engines. I mean, they were the biggest, most powerful engines we had, and we saw them fire off every time a Saturn V lifted off. And I think that the F1 too, they also all of the oscillation problems they had in its combustion chambers was adjudicated and fixed in test launches, test bed launches. I don't think they actually had any problems with oscillations in actual ship launches.
Yeah, because they never actually launched. They never had a problem. If the F1 engine would have had a problem, the whole rocket wouldn't have gotten off, and every one of them got off. Like, I don't remember a single problem with the F1 engines during a launch.
You know, I think that was worked out by the time they were putting men on top of those things.
Yeah, and
The
so I'm
second
just
and third
confused.
stages they did have problems with. But
I'm confused as to why this Walsh guy, why he moved on to talking about the F1 engines. I kind of missed. I think I missed something.
It's kind of demonstrably wrong because you're right. We watched all those launches, physically watched them. It's not as if it were something we saw in film. There were millions of people and TV cameras watching those things.
Yeah, but I mean, I think I actually missed something in his video. I think he said something that I missed. I don't follow his logic where he's going from J2 engines and Saturn 6 or Apollo 6 to
I think he's
F1
trying to
engines.
create some sinister plan here.
I guess.
I don't think he actually missed anything. I think he just tried to do a conflating argument. And I'm wondering why he thinks I need to be listening to him. As far I don't know this man's credentials. He could be an engineer, but for all I know, he could be a ditch digger. You know.
All right. Well, let's see.
Are needed for an Apollo landing, and the reason being is the F1 engines were supposed to be the most powerful engine, rocket engine, ever produced. Each engine would produce a thrust of 1.5 million pounds. There were 5.
Are you still not hearing the video?
Yeah, let me refresh.
No, we're hearing it.
But I'm not hearing it myself.
Oh,
let me
okay.
refresh.
All right. Well, you haven't missed much.
These engines in the first stage of the Saturn V for a total of 7.5 million pounds. Without 7.5 million pounds, you cannot launch an Apollo payload.
All right, I'll rely on what you guys are hearing because I'm still not hearing it.
For an eventual trip to the moon. So therefore, you have no Apollo landings. If the F1 engine is not working perfectly, you have no Apollo moon landings. The problem that NASA does admit to, actually, that they had constant problems with the F1 engines, is the area of the combustion chamber. NASA says that there was instability in the combustion chamber. Now, just to briefly...
Again, I missed the whole reason why he started talking about the F1 engine. Of course, NASA said there was instability in the chamber.
Well, yeah, I think he's trying to equate the known pogo oscillations with the J2 engines, and then go ahead and take the fact that in the beginning during testing they had the same oscillation problems with the F1, and then try to make that point that NASA admitted that they had those, so they must still have had those. Therefore, we can't get to the moon because of reasons.
And yeah, that would definitely make sense. That would make sense.
Except that we,
Him making that jump.
except it's kind of, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense that he'd make that jump right there. But I just looked it up. Like, dude, you just pulled that number, the 7 million, right? And stuff. You just pulled that straight from Wikipedia. Like, I guarantee you, this guy is just reading Wikipedia. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, he also seems to be making the assumption that when they find a problem in a test, they don't go back and re-engineer and fix whatever problem it is that they found. He doesn't seem to understand that every single one of these engines were made by hand, by scratch. They didn't have spare parts laying around in an F1 engine inventory room. They actually had to build each one individually. And no two were exactly alike, because although they were using the same blueprints, they actually had a lot of notes on those blueprints that said, okay, here's the problem, here's our fix, you know.
Okay, so is he part of the same group that says that all space flight except Apollo?
I think so.
Is,
I'm not
is,
entirely
is,
sure. I haven't talked to
okay,
him very much, but he seems to associate heavily with the
because
people who say that.
if I remember correctly, the Saturn V also put Skylab into orbit, so
Yeah.
it obviously can get into low Earth orbit.
Yeah, it definitely can. But I think you hit the nail right on the head there, LT. It does seem like he thinks as soon as they find a problem, they can't go back and solve the problem. LT.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's incredible to think that that would be the case. You know how any conspiracy theories would assume that. You know, because the NASA from its inception hired the smartest people around. You know, they're not going to look at a problem and say, oh well, we'll just wing it.
Yeah, and
Don't wing nothing.
definitely.
Looking at this guy's website, he's got not too many videos, but they're all about the Apollo mission.
Yeah, this guy claims to be one of the heavy
So,
hitters in this whole
yeah.
thing. You can find a lot of interviews with him on and stuff like that. He thinks he's got everything settled out. So, he's also the
That's
guy
all
who
his videos.
doesn't want to appear on a live stream with me, according to the chat that we had in my comment section.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like, "Why don't we have a debate
You'll
here?"
kick his ass.
Yeah, he wanted to have a debate in my comment section, and I'm like, "You can't have a debate there. That's like a Twitter debate. That's worse than a Twitter debate because I can't even respond to individual stuff." Yeah, but mind hitting that play button there?
Explain a description of what I'm talking about here. When you look at a rocket, we all see the nozzle of the rocket engine on the bottom. On top of the nozzle is an area called the throat. On top of that is the combustion chamber. Now, and of course, on top of the combustion chamber, you have the rest of the engine that mixes the propellant and then sends it through to the combustion chamber for a controlled explosion. That controlled explosion is pushed through the throat and then out through the nozzle, which propels the rocket up. NASA had to find a way, though, to cool the temperatures of the combustion chamber, which could reach up to 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So they came out with a method called the regenerative cooling system. And this was used in liquid-fueled rockets, which the F1 engine was.
Yeah, he's just listing off facts. That's all he's doing.
It makes him sound like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I wonder if there's actually any particular thing that he'll say in the rest of this video. It seems like he has a problem with the oscillation.
Supports the conclusions.
Teach a parrot to say E equals MC squared. Does that make the parrot a genius?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I'm not sure where he's going with the cooling system of the Bell itself, because that's exactly how they did it. That was really, really cold fuel, to keep everything in a liquid state. So it was a perfect fix. It was one of those things that they said, "Hey, this is a problem. Let's fix it." So I'm interested to see why he's bringing this up as a potential problem.
Yeah.
Especially since the problems he's talking about would have been catastrophic. We would have seen it on launch. Shit would have blew up.
Yeah, it's not a small problem. The rocket wouldn't even gotten off the ground.
Liquid fueled rockets, which the F1 engine was. Now, what that is hundreds of small tubes that run outside of the combustion chamber, the throat area, and partway down the nozzle. And propellant would be pushed through these hundreds of very thin tubes, and the propellant would absorb the thermal energy produced by the controlled explosion within the combustion chamber. And then that propellant would be directed into the combustion chamber, which is supposed to have made for more fuel efficient or more efficient. There's where the instability is. The tubes were breaking down, and because they were breaking down, they were not absorbing enough thermal energy to keep those temperatures down. So it was creating instability within the combustion chamber. So in order to overcome that, NASA had to find a way. In other words, the only way they could do it was to use the F1 engines at lesser thrust. So if they were using less thrust, they weren't producing the power necessary, which defeats the whole purpose of using the F1 engines in the first place. This is apparent when you analyze Apollo 6. It was burning kerosene, which is very interesting because...
So he brings back Apollo 6 into the thing, right? Still not realizing that there wasn't a problem with the F1 engine on Apollo 6.
No, and he's talking about that the only way they could do this was to throttle down the engine, but they couldn't throttle it down too much more because they only had about 7.5, 8 million pounds of thrust. The rocket itself weighed over 6 million pounds, so the darn thing would have never gotten off the ground.
Yeah, and there was a
He's not making any sense. He's just saying random things. It means stuff.
but didn't they fix it without throttling down? Like when
Yes, they did. They did.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
The way that they fixed the oscillation in the older versions of the engines before they made the fix was to throttle down. They couldn't do that, so they had to go find another fix, in which they did.
Yeah, in the test beds, they were able to fix the vibrational problems before they even started to use it as a launch vehicle. So they did have subsequent problems with the other stages, but the F1s were working,
And
and we had never got rocket off the ground if they weren't.
and NASA doesn't hide this one bit. There's videos on YouTube of the F1 engine blowing up, and if you go to the space centers, they tell you it's like here's a compilation of F1 engines blowing up because of the problem, and then they'll explain the problem to you as a way of teaching you. It's not like they're trying to hide it.
Yeah, and I think part of the other assumption that he's making, but not actually stating, is that he seems to be thinking in terms of model rocketry. Is when you set off a model rocket, it's at full throttle and you don't have a throttle control. But if you do that in an actual manned spacecraft, there's only so much G-force that a human body can withstand before it turns into jelly. So yeah, they had a throttle control, as did the space shuttle. They just didn't light it and go.
Yeah, and but he's still conflating the J2 and the F1. Like he's trying to pin the F1's failures.
I'm trying to find something here.
He's trying to pin F1.
Stupid is confounding.
Yeah, he's trying to pin F1 failures on the J2 with this Apollo 6. That's all he's trying to do, and I feel like that's dishonest. Like, wouldn't you agree?
Well, I was hoping he was going to. Oh, yeah, absolutely agree that it is completely dishonest. Unless we're missing, unless he's going to somehow show us where something we've already missed or something he already didn't say. But everything he has said is inconsistent with reality of they launched the rockets. We saw them launch the rockets. Even if you don't believe Apollo, I mean, I just looked it up and I was right. The last use of the Saturn V was to put Skylab into orbit. So
Yeah.
obviously it worked because it got the space station up there. Of course, it fell down somewhere over Australia a few years later, but that's beside the point.
All right. Well, let's see if he does tie it. And again, if I missed something earlier in this video, someone please come out and tell me. But
We've still got
I don't
3
think I
minutes
have.
I
left,
think you were
so
sending.
The F1 engines were the only engines
you got
in the
3
Saturn
minutes.
V
Maybe we'll
rocket
tie it
that
all up
actually
toward the
used
end. Who knows?
kerosene, along with liquid oxygen. Now, NASA says that they solved all these problems in just 7 months leading up to the next launch of a Saturn V, Apollo 8. Now, here's where it gets interesting.
Again, he's just assuming that there was a problem with the F1 engine on Apollo 6.
Exactly.
They solved all the problems with the F1 engine before the Apollo 6 even launched. They solved it on the test stands. And then all they have to figure out is the J2 engine, which is a much easier engine to fiddle with than the F1.
And I hate that phrase NASA says, because all that is an unspoken declaration that NASA is lying to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
NASA didn't even build the J2. That was Rocketdyne.
Right. Well, yeah. NASA didn't actually build.
Glober Mom, you're not muted.
And he makes that claim that in only 7 months. Well, do you know how many people were actually working on the designs and constructions of these engines? It just wasn't one guy in his garage.
Oh no, there's
You
that
know?
line in the movie Apollo.
Couldn't get everything off.
Movie Apollo 13, where Tom Hanks says, you know, they have all the most of the PhDs on the planet working on the problem, and that's
I
not
apologize if you heard
far
that, guys. My
from the.
husband called me right now and I couldn't get the mute thing muted.
Oh yeah, no problem. And that wasn't too far from the truth. When you look at it, if you were a PhD in engineering and you know several other disciplines, you probably worked for NASA in the '60s. So they had the manpower, they had companies that had the manpower, and that's the other thing is NASA didn't actually build anything; they contracted all of that. They just paid the bills.
Yeah, basically. Like,
NASA was basically just the organizer of everything.
yeah. Like,
They set the specifications and they paid the bills.
Yeah, like look at
That's right.
look at the Saturn V rocket. Every piece on there was built like by Boeing, by Aerojet, by Rocketdyne, by the JPL, like all these different places built the rocket. NASA just you're right, they sent them the specifications for it.
Yeah, it's like my company, we build submarines, but the Navy doesn't build it. They tell us what they want. They make the specifications, we design it, we build it. It's
Yeah.
the government doesn't build
Well,
this shit.
and on top of that, the F1 engine wasn't even made for NASA. It was made before NASA. It was made for the Navy. Yeah, the F1 engine was made. It was designed in like 1955. It's a really old engine.
Yeah.
It's just a big dumb engine. And the J2.
You cut out there, Bluther.
Sorry, and the J2 was made before that too. It was made like designed and everything. These are old engines that were put on this rocket.
Mm.
All right, well let's go in. Let's see if we can finish this.
Let's find out what else this idiot has to say.
Was the third launch of the Saturn V, but it was also the first manned mission of a Saturn V. So they sent the first manned mission of a Saturn V with only 2 all-manned tests of the Saturn V and its F1 engines. That is a total of 19 hours for the Saturn V rocket and a total of 4 minutes for the F1 engines.
No, that's completely false. They tested all 5 engines together on the test stand.
Yes.
That's ridiculous to state that
The,
they only
and
tested their own
by
launch.
then, yeah, by Apollo 8, the F1 engine had uh, nearly a decade of testing on it, both test platforms and in launches. So it wasn't 10 minutes of testing; it was decade worth of testing.
Yeah, we have the videos. You can find the videos of, especially the first test of all 5 engines at the same time. These things, and the J2 was also put on test stands a bunch. These engines were tested outside of the rocket launch. You don't just throw everything together and send it up the very first time. You have to test every single aspect.
Yeah, that's not how that worked. This was all tested on platforms, controlled platforms where they could blow shit up and not kill people. They they knew it, and it wasn't. And it's the way engines are tested now. Engines are tested on test platforms, the very first versions of them, anyway.
And this is another
Yeah.
case
Then if it's
of, sorry, this is another case of them going surface deep, scratching only surface deep, and this is the only thing conspiracy theorists will ever do. He read a page, he read an article, or saw a video or something that gave the specifics of the F1 engine. He's going to read those off, and then he's only going to talk about the things that was shown, that was like widely shown to the public, the launches. And he's not going to talk about the testing. He's not going to talk about the designing or anything like that. He's only going to talk about what he can directly find footage of things that he directly remembers from when it happened and stuff that was in the big news. He's not going to talk about anything else or go past that surface level of just the launches.
Yeah, and if his complaint is about not enough testing prior to actual manned use, you got to understand that this was the 1960s. It was the Cold War. There was a certain political climate. John Kennedy put us on a time crunch of within the decade, before the decade's out, land a man on the moon, return him safely to the Earth. The higher ups at NASA, yeah, they would have loved to have had another 20 years of testing and designing, and whatever. So did they cut corners? Absolutely, but there's a reason for that. But they, at the same time, even though they were cutting corners and rushing things to get the time crunched in on time, they were still taking the safety of the pilots into account.
Yeah, like I think it's stated. I think it's been stated by NASA that if they had the same failure rate nowadays as they had on Apollo missions, they wouldn't even launch. It was ridiculous. But I mean, it's not like it was like, oh, it was like a 50% chance of failure. No, it was like a 95% chance of success, and like a 5% chance of failure. But even that nowadays wouldn't even get you off the launch pad. Wouldn't even put you on the launch pad. But
Yeah, after Challenger, it was how many years before
Yeah.
the next shuttle launch was?
I don't know, but it was a good
And they
amount.
How
knew
long
they,
was
they
it?
knew they knew pretty much they knew right away what the problem was. It was still, a couple of years before they launched another shuttle.
Dice Pew has a chat.
Has a what?
Show you.
Oh,
A
different
link on the
numbers
chat
and
wants
stuff.
to show you.
All
Yeah.
right. Let's go look at this. Yep, here it is. Just all the F1 engine serial numbers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, there were for the Saturn V's that were used for the Apollo missions. There were only the 14 serial numbered Saturn V's. So
Yeah. There's 3 left.
yeah, this shows a hell of a lot more engines than that. So
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of engines left, but there was a lot of them that obviously never saw any action. There was a lot of them that were just made for testing and stuff like that. And every single one of those engines were completely different.
I have a sneaking suspicion about this cat. He looks to be about a similar age of me and Mike. Me and Mike grew up during the space race. We watched all of these launches on TV.
Boomer.
And in those days, every little boy wanted to be an astronaut. And
yeah.
I'll guarantee you, so did this guy. And I'm wondering, did he really apply to NASA and get laughed at for not graduating the 8th grade because of his math skills?
Oof.
Ouch.
Look to aviation. You try to do something like that in aviation, you would be laughed out of the room. In aviation, even with today's sophisticated technology, by comparison to 50 years ago, and software techniques that are used to design these aircraft, they still do hundreds of hours of testing on the engines of these aircraft and on the airframes of these aircraft.
And he's just assuming they didn't for the F1 engine. That's ridiculous.
Right.
Is
And here's the thing,
absolutely
too.
ridiculous.
Saying is that the engines that they use today, like if what NASA would use or what or Russia uses now, the actual engines themselves are not much different than they were 50 years ago. The control systems are hugely different, and the interfaces with what the engine does to the rocket is a lot different. But the basic rocket engine itself it's the technology is nearly identical to what it was in 1955 and 1965. Um, all that's really changed is how they're controlled and fly-by-wire systems and all the electronics that go along with making the engine run, but the basic mechanics aren't any different. So it isn't as if we got something now that's generations and orders of magnitude better. It's just not true.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he does kind of have one thing right. We are much more safety conscious and much more aware of death of test pilots today than we were back then. How
True.
many men died trying to fly the first supersonic aircraft?
Yeah, yeah.
The X series.
And even then,
You know, the,
pilots are still dying. Like that, it's not like there are no more failures in it. It's part of the job.
yes, and the
Yeah,
men and women
but the
who
the
do this
technology,
understand the danger.
right? And but the technology of that goes into making a rocket engine really isn't much different today than it was, 50 years ago.
No, you just need a massive engine that puts out a lot of force. It's not like
Right.
sure there's probably
But
computers and stuff in the modern engines, but it's still a massive. The concept there is still the same. It's
it's
kind of
just a
like you would.
huge vector thrust vectored combustion engine. That's all it is. It's just gigantic.
Yeah, it's like looking at a carburetor engine right now. Like if you look at a carburetor engine that was made yesterday versus a carburetor engine that was made, like 50 years ago. Especially like if you look at a Chevrolet engine, an LS, there's not much difference there. It's still the same basic concept. It's still a hella powerful engine,
Mm.
and I think that's a good. I don't know. Is that a bad analogy? Like
No, no.
No.
The basics of the technology is, yeah, it's the same.
yeah. But this guy, he's missing the fact that they tested these engine on test stands. That's what he's missing. And
Yeah.
I think
are
he's
you?
intentionally missing it.
I think so
Well,
too.
yeah, absolutely. He's intentionally missing it. He's trying to make the point that the Saturn V didn't work, and that's just patently false.
Uh,
For the reasons, I mean, he could come up with plenty of reasons why it wouldn't get you to the moon. All right, so okay, but the reasons he's using are ones that are easily verifiably to be false. Not to mention the hours of TV video and the tens of thousands of people gathered around the Cape for each one of those launches. So that by itself just debunks the claim.
Yeah, wherever he found the information on what the Saturn V rocket is, you're telling me that it also didn't have the information of the testing of it, and where he found the information of the ice oscillation and stuff like that on the Saturn or on the F1 engine. Are you telling me that it didn't have the information on the testing that found that oscillation?
Yeah, it probably did, and I guess if you use
he
nothing
omitted
but
it on purpose.
Wikipedia, if you use nothing but Wikipedia for your research, yeah, you may have not gotten that deep into it, but he found what he wanted and he ran with it. That's all. Whether or
Classic
not he found
conspiracy
more and he
theorist.
ignored it, that's another story.
Classic conspiracy theorist tactic. I have my
Absolutely.
preconceived notion, and I'm only going to look at the evidence that supports my preconceived idea and ignore the
Yeah, and
Mount
when
Pretty
they
Everest
much.
of data.
and if they Google it, they'll go like with the first thing, which is never what you need anyway. You have to do more of a deep dive to
Right.
find a good website that shows you.
To make the data fit the conclusion, not the other way around.
Right.
That's what they always do, man. That's what they always freaking do.
Oh yeah.
All right, so y'all want to finish
If you
this
could,
video?
yo,
Sure, let's do it.
Let's finish it so we can finish the stream.
Before these planes are certified for commercial use. But not so with NASA. NASA said that with only 2 unmanned launches of the Saturn V, for a total of 19 hours and a total of 4 minutes with the F1 engines, in which one of these unmanned launches, Apollo 6, was plagued with problems, that they solved all those problems in just 7 months without any further testing the actual conditions of flight
Shit.
to send the first.
It's complete BS.
Absolute BS. Testing started at the beginning of the Apollo program and never stopped.
Like he's saying stuff like it was plagued with problems. There was one problem with the J2 engine. It wasn't plagued with problems.
Yeah.
It still succeeded in its mission. I don't know.
yeah,
It's
he
just
hasn't delved any.
It's just all
He
the
hasn't delved any
interpretation for
deeper
him.
than what.
You know.
what is that?
If you actually go and try to read all of the NASA archives about all the testing and all the engineering and everything that went into these engines and into our manned space program, you would spend years. He obviously spent about 5 or 10 minutes on the internet and decided, I already know it all.
Basically, and these are the people who always claim that they've studied 25 years every day and stuff like that, blah, 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 blah. It's like, then you're obviously not studying the right stuff. You're obviously not studying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're looking at Wikipedia articles. You're looking at surface level stuff, or you are looking at documents. You are looking at heavy documents for NASA, but you have no idea what they're saying. You're just reading words and not comprehending anything. I know myself. If you were to pull up a manual of the electronics or something on the Saturn V rocket or something like that, I wouldn't know what I'm looking at. I can sit there and study it all day long and look at the page, but I will have no idea what I'm looking at.
You need that, at least a basic frame of reference to understand the technical aspects of something. I look at electronics manuals to show how things work, and I'm lost. Yeah, I could flip the switch, I could turn it on, but you start talking about forces and moments and thrust vectors. That stuff I can calculate in my head. It's all about the frame of your educational frame of reference. You just can't understand things simply because you've decided you can.
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
man.
Every time I hear one of these moon landing deniers, I just want to, I always want to point them to the pictures that are coming from the LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. They have shown us all of the pictures of all of the Apollo landing sites, and they line up very well with the pictures from the ground if you actually know how to use a computer.
So
It's very elegant proof.
Some of the, like Japan and their lunar mapper, I forget what it's called. I mean, they've even found some of the Apollo sites. So if you're going to take this conspiracy out, we have other countries involved in our conspiracy. So that really doesn't even make any sense either. So,
I mean, none of it makes sense. So,
no. But yeah, it's one of those things where I think it was AB Science did a good video on the number of people involved in a conspiracy and your ability to keep the conspiracy. You know, the amount of people it would take to keep this one is so monumentally huge. It's ridiculous.
Hey, Blue.
Yeah.
Geistru has another link in the chat regarding the F1 testing.
Oh, okay.
If you want.
Yeah, it's a whole report. Hold on a sec.
Oh yeah, it's the project map. This is the project timeline. And before, when did Apollo 6 launch? 1968.
Yeah, there it is.
So if we follow this timeline, you know, the time of the first test concepts, test stands were done in the early 60s, 1961. So that's at least 7 years.
There's your dang PDF files.
Yeah.
Sorry, PNG. Sorry, it's a PNG.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but this is nothing but a graphics, a screen capture of a larger NASA document.
Yeah.
Either gotten from one of the NASA document websites or from OSTI, the OSTI.gov, the Office of was it Science and Information Technology Information.
All right, let's see if we can.
That's probably where this came.
We got a little over a minute. Let's see if we can get this done.
First manned mission on Apollo 8. NASA claims that it worked perfectly. Now, I might add that Apollo 8 was not only the first manned mission of the Saturn V, it was the first manned mission to leave low Earth orbit and circumnavigate the moon, according to NASA. Now,
why wouldn't it have been? The whole reason of the Saturn 1B was to test in low Earth orbit. The whole point of the Saturn V was to go to the moon. Why would they have tested it in low Earth orbit? They didn't need to.
Good question. No idea.
You can factor in Apollos 9 and 10 leading up to Apollo 11 and say, well, there was 2 more rocket launches. But when you total up the total time of these F1 engines, they had about 10 minutes of flight testing. 11. No way. Absolutely no way. And this is, for me, one of the biggest indicators that these missions were faked. You have a total, up to Apollo 11, you have a total of the F1 engines with 10 minutes of flight in actual conditions. Unbelievable.
See, that's misleading.
Yeah, that's heavily misleading.
And there may have been about 10 minutes of actual flight time, but that doesn't include the decade of flight stand testing that was done up until then. I mean, he's making that other stuff, all of that other testing out to be irrelevant, or he's just completely ignoring that it existed.
Yeah. Did I understand him correctly? Was one of his complaints that the test cradle testing didn't have any payload weight, therefore that test is invalid?
They're fixed test stands. How much more load could you get?
Yeah.
I think you did get that right. I missed that. Good catch. What?
That's so freaking ridiculous. I mean, you know, does he not understand what a test cradle does? It actually locks it to the ground so it can't go up.
The payload is the
more
Earth.
mass than you'd have with your payload.
The payload is the
Nearly
Earth.
an infinite payload.
And they're just testing the engine anyway. They're not. Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. If this is your evidence for the moon landing being faked, again, that's just pathetic. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This
Exactly.
This is surface level stuff that if you just even take 2 seconds to go past your first Google search and do a second, then you'll realize that it's complete BS. And the fact that we even tech Geist View, how long did it take for you to find that file showing us all of the tests of the F1 engine? I just want to know that
He may not be
PNG.
in chat anymore. He said he was going to go to sleep.
Well,
I still
I'd love
don't.
for him to tell us how long it took for him to do that, but
Knowing Geist, it probably didn't take more than 30 seconds.
yeah.
No, I mean, it didn't seem like it because he was just popping links all over the.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
He
what we
knows what to look
basically
for.
have here is a guy who doesn't like the idea that we landed on the moon, probably doesn't have any sort of technical education. Somebody in the live chat when I was talking about why he might have be a moon landing denier said, yeah, maybe his girlfriend listing for a test pilot.
Yeah, I saw
So
that.
he's
Yeah, I saw that
jealous and
one.
resentful, no technical education, who just doesn't like the idea that people walked on the moon. And that's it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It's just I don't see how he has that much of a problem with the F1 engine as he does. Like, it went up in the air. It completed its first stage. We saw it complete its first stage. Every single video that we have of the Saturn V rocket launching has the first stage separating. That's an easily seen
Thousands
thing.
of people, thousands of people watched it from Cape Canaveral. Millions of people watched it on television.
And guess what?
Hundreds of ham radio operators were tracking this stuff as it was happening in real time with directional antennas. I mean, you got a lot of explaining to do there, Lucy.
And guess what?
Logical, you may be able to help with this, but I'm thinking, it's probably not the case, but I'm thinking maybe Jean broke his favorite space toys or something.
You're roboting there. Glober Mom, you're roboting.
You're roboting me too.
So
Hey, Glober Mom, you were roboting. We couldn't get you.
Yeah, you're roboting too, Lou.
Oh no.
you're both roboting right now.
Oh no, we're both roboting. Beep beep boop boop.
Everybody is.
Pop pop pop. Is it better?
All right, we can hear you.
Okay. I was saying it could be something as simple as one of his favorite toys from space toys from when he was a kid getting broken. For all we know, why he's like that.
Yeah.
Could be something as minor as that. For all we know.
It could be, or it could be just the way he thinks.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the Scarecrow in Wizard of Oz said it best. There's so many people that do an awful lot of talking without brains.
Yeah.
No, that hits it there. Well, we've been at it for an hour and 3/4. Y'all want to wrap it up around here?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Anything any of y'all want to say?
Babes is withholding my beer, so if I want another one, I'm gonna have to hang up in a moment.
Yeah, my husband's kind of hungry.
I'll ask you guys a question. If this guy right here, Randy Walsh, is considered one of the heavy hitters in this group of theirs, how disappointed are you? Scale of 1 to 10.
Very disappointed. I expected much more. I expected some actual technical data, not just claims.
If this is the best they have, yeah, it's no good.
No, it's not good at all. He just used a flashy animation of the F1 engine and a bunch of technical words to try to sway a bunch of people over.
Yeah.
I bet it's not even his animation either.
No, it's not. It had a watermark on it.
Actually, the one thing that scares me the most is if this is the best that side of the argument has, that's their best spokesman, how freaking stupid is the rest of them?
Exactly.
And they vote.
Oh, yeah. No,
they're just parrots.
It's ridiculous.
That's all. They're parrots.
Every one of them. You watch their documentaries, you watch their videos, you get nothing new. It's a bunch of surface level BS. That's all they spout. And then they want to turn around and act like I don't know what I'm talking about, or that you don't know what you're talking about. Like, LT, you never worked on the engines. You don't know anything about NASA, blah, 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 blah. That's what they want to turn around and say. And it's just, buddy, you read a couple of things and then acted like you were researching for a couple thousand hours. And that's it.
Yeah, no, I didn't work on these engines. I didn't design them. I didn't work any fixes for them. I was a small boy when these things were going off, right? But at the same time, I've never been to the Congo either. But yet I know pygmies exist.
Exactly.
Wait.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up right here. Thanks all you guys for joining me in this chat about my narcissistic chat about my YouTube channel, about my comment section and my beef. Thank you for supporting my narcissism. I do thoroughly enjoy that.
No problem.
Definitely.
You're welcome.
Oh, no problem.
I'm not hearing any
I'm
not hearing any compliments from you guys.
Oh,
That's telling. Look,
great
I'm
for
selfish.
everything.
Thank you.
We bow to your superior knowledge.
You're such a bright young star.
Thank you. I expect that statue to be made of gold.
Blue, shall I pencil you in for an appointment?
No, thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks for everybody who
You're
viewed.
welcome.
We're gonna have to end it here so we don't hit that. Sorry, Mike. I know you wanted it to be an hour-ish. We ended up going 45 minutes too long.
That's
so
right.
I hope
Yeah,
I
no
didn't.
problem.
I hope I didn't keep you up too much. But I'll see you guys next
I gotta
time.
get up in 3 hours, so.
Yeah, I've got class in the morning. All right. Well, I'll see you guys next
Yeah, no
time. Thanks everybody.
All right.
Blue Earth thing out.
Bye. Thank you, guys.